From Dust to Destiny, the story of Hafiz. The first time Hafiz understood what hunger truly meant, he was 9 years old. It was late in the evening. The sun had already disappeared behind the dry fields of Malumfashi, leaving behind a quiet, dusty darkness. Inside their small mud house, the air felt heavy. Hafiz sat on the floor, staring at an empty plate. He waited and waited. Then finally, he looked up at his mother. "Mama, is there food?" His voice was soft, careful, as if asking the question alone might break something. His mother didn't answer immediately. She turned away, pretending to adjust the small pot on the fire, though there was nothing inside it. After a few seconds, she spoke. "Sleep, Hafiz. Tomorrow will be better." Hafiz nodded slowly, but deep inside, something didn't agree. Tomorrow had said the same thing yesterday. Hafiz was born into a life where survival was more important than dreams. His father was a farmer, a hard-working man whose entire life depended on rain that often refused to come. His hands were always rough, his face always tired, and his voice carried the weight of a man who had fought life for too long. Every morning before sunrise, his father would wake him. "Hafiz, get up." No softness, no delay. "Yes, Baba," Hafiz would reply, forcing his body up even when it begged for more rest. They would walk together to the farm in silence. The ground was dry most of the time, cracked like it had given up hope. Still, they worked, because what else could they do? One afternoon, under the burning sun, Hafiz finally spoke what had been on his mind for weeks. "Baba, I want to go back to school." His father didn't stop digging. "School?" he repeated. "Yes, I want to learn. I want to become something." This time, his father stopped. He leaned on his hoe and looked at Hafiz, not with anger, but with something heavier: reality. Become something? Will school bring food today? Hafiz didn't answer. "Will it pay our debts?" his father continued. Still silence. His father shook his head and returned to work. "This is our life, Hafiz. Accept it." That night, Hafiz couldn't sleep, not because of hunger this time, but because of something new, a quiet pain. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and slowly Hafiz stopped talking about school. Not because he didn't want it anymore, but because he understood something painful. Some dreams are too expensive for poor people. But Hafiz was not the kind of boy who could sit still and accept defeat. Something inside him refused to stay quiet. At the age of 15, he made his first real decision. If life would not change for him, he would try to change it himself. One evening, he approached his father again. "Baba, I want to start my own farm." His father looked at him, surprised. "With what money?" "I will borrow," Hafiz said. His father laughed, not because it was funny, but because it sounded impossible. "Borrow? And if you fail?" Hafiz swallowed. "I will not fail." That confidence was the only thing he had, and he held on to it tightly. After days of searching, pleading, and convincing, Hafiz managed to borrow a small amount of money from a local lender. It wasn't much, but to him, it felt like opportunity. He rented a small piece of land, prepared it, planted maize, and for the first time in his life, he felt something different: hope. Every morning, he visited the farm before sunrise. Every evening, he returned to check on it again. He removed weeds carefully, watched the crops grow, spoke to them sometimes as if they could hear him. "This will change everything," he would whisper. Weeks passed. The crops grew taller, greener, stronger, and so did his belief. One evening, Hafiz stood at the edge of his farm, smiling. He could already see the future: harvest, money, respect, a better life for his family. That night, for the first time in years, Hafiz slept peacefully. But life had other plans. In the middle of the night, while the village slept, something moved in the darkness. Cows, dozens of them, hungry, uncontrolled. By morning, everything was gone. Hafiz ran to the farm the moment the news, his heart pounding, his feet moving faster than ever before. When he got there, he stopped. Silence. With every your sweat was now nothing but distraction. Broken stems, crushed leaves, empty ground. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. The debt echoed in Hafiz's mind. How will I pay this money back? Fear grew inside him until bandits suddenly attacked the farm. "Don't move!" they shouted as they seized him. In minutes, he was taken deep into the forest. A ransom of 7 million naira was demanded, but his family had nothing. Weeks passed in captivity until one night a distraction gave him a chance. Hafiz escaped into the darkness, running with one thought: he was going home. It took hours before he could stand again, weak, shaken, but alive. He didn't know exactly where he was, but he kept moving, slowly, carefully. By morning, he found the familiar path, then a hut, then people. "Who is that?" someone asked. Hafiz tried to speak, but no words came out. Then everything went black. When he opened his eyes again, he was home. His mother sat beside him, crying. "Hafiz," she whispered. He tried to smile, but his body refused. His father stood in the corner, silent, but his eyes said everything. "You came back," his mother said, holding his hand tightly. Hafiz nodded weakly. "I thought I lost you," she cried. He wanted to speak, to comfort her, but he couldn't because his body had given up. Days passed, then weeks. Hafiz fell seriously ill. Fever, weakness, pain. Sometimes he would wake up suddenly, breathing fast, seeing shadows, hearing gunshots that were no longer there. His mother stayed by his side every day, every night. "Eat something," she would say. "I can't," Hafiz would whisper. "Try," she insisted. Slowly, very slowly, he began to recover. But something had changed inside him. The boy who left the village that night was not the same boy who returned. He had seen death, felt it, escaped it, and now he understood something clearly. Life could end at any moment, which meant if he was still alive, there had to be a reason. But just when things seemed to calm down, another storm was coming, one that would push him out of the village forever. Hafiz had barely started walking again when the whispers began. At first, they were quiet, just small talks in corners. Then they grew louder. "Have you noticed Hafiz?" one man said in the village. "He disappeared and came back alive," another replied. A third voice added slowly, "People don't just return from where he went." Hafiz heard none of it at first. He was still weak, still recovering, still trying to understand the world again. But the world had already started judging him. One afternoon, as he sat outside trying to breathe fresh air, two young men walked past. One of them stopped. He stared at Hafiz for a moment, then said, "So you came back from the bush?" Hafiz looked up. "Yes." The boy smirked. "Lucky you." And they walked away. Hafiz didn't respond, but something inside him tightened. Days passed. The whispers became accusations. Then came the moment that changed everything. A theft happened in the village. A small shop was broken into at night. Money was stolen. Goods were missing. People gathered in the morning, angry and confused. "We need answers," the shop owner shouted. "This is not the first time," someone added. Then someone said it, quietly but clearly enough. Hafiz was outside that night. Silence followed. All eyes turned, slowly, toward him. Hafiz stood up immediately. "I didn't steal anything," he said firmly. But no one responded. Not immediately. The shop owner walked closer. "You were seen walking around at night." "I couldn't sleep," Hafiz replied. "I was sick. I was outside to breathe." A man shook his head. "You came back from bandits. Now theft happens in the same village?"
Hafiz's chest tightened. "This has nothing to do with me." But the doubt had already grown roots. And in a place like that, doubt is stronger than truth. A village elder spoke slowly. "We are not saying you did it, but until we understand what happened, you should stay away from certain places." That was not justice, but it was judgment. Hafiz felt it clearly. He was no longer trusted. That night, he sat alone. His mother joined him quietly. "I heard what they are saying," she said softly. Hafiz looked at her. "I didn't do it, Mama." "I know," she replied immediately. But her eyes showed something heavier. Fear, not of him, but of what the village might do next. His father joined them. He stayed silent for a long time, then finally spoke. "This place is no longer safe for you." Hafiz looked at him sharply. "What are you saying?" His father: "I am saying people are already convinced, even without proof." Hafiz shook his head.
So I should leave because of lies? His father didn't answer immediately, then said something painful. Sometimes a man does not leave because he is guilty. He leaves because staying will kill him. Silence. That sentence broke something inside Hafiz. That night, he couldn't sleep. Not because of pain, but because of reality. Everything he survived, the farm, the bike, the sugarcane, the kidnapping, the escape, the sickness, and now this. Not even survival was enough to be accepted. The next morning, Hafiz made a decision. He would leave. His mother, when she heard, "No, Hafiz, where will you go?" "Anywhere," he replied softly. "Anywhere that doesn't see me as a criminal." She held his hands tightly. "But you just came back." "I know," he said. His voice broke slightly. "But staying here is like dying slowly." His father stood behind her, silent again, but this time he did not stop him. Instead, he walked to Hafiz and placed something in his hand. Money, small but meaningful. "For the road," he said quietly. Hafiz looked at him. "This is all you have?" His father nodded. "I know." That moment hurt more than all his failures because now he understood. Even his family had nothing left to give. The next morning, Hafiz packed nothing. Because he had nothing to pack. He simply walked out of the village, slowly, quietly, without ceremony. No one followed him. Only his mother stood far behind, watching, and as he walked away, he didn't look back. Because if he did, he might not leave at all. Hafiz left Malumfashi with no destination in mind. Only one belief carried him forward. Anywhere is better than here. The road was long and dusty. Every step he took away from the village felt like he was walking away from his old life. But at the same time, he wasn't sure what awaited him ahead. After hours of walking, Hafiz reached a major roadside where trucks and trailers were parked. Drivers shouted, conductors argued, people were loading goods, sacks and animals. The place was alive but chaotic. Hafiz stood there quietly, watching everything. He didn't know what to do next. Then a man called out, "Where are you going?" Hafiz turned. "Lagos," he replied. The man, "Lagos, do you have money?" Hafiz shook his head. "No." The man sized him up. "You want to travel to Lagos without money?" Hafiz didn't respond immediately. Then he said softly, "I just need a way." The man studied him for a moment, then pointed toward a trailer being loaded. "Talk to that driver. If he agrees, you follow the goods. But don't disturb me again." Hafiz nodded quickly and walked toward the truck. The driver was a big man, tired face, cigarette in hand. "What do you want?" the driver asked. "Please," Hafiz said, "I want to go to Lagos. I can help you wash the truck, load goods, anything." The driver, "You? You look like someone that has suffered enough. already. Hafiz didn't smile. I have, but I can still walk. The driver looked at him for a long moment, then said, Climb at the back. Don't be a problem. Hafiz froze for a second. Thank you, he said quickly. And just like that, his journey began. He climbed into the back of the trailer, hidden among sacks and goods. No seat, no comfort, only space between survival and danger. As the truck started moving, Hafiz looked back one last time. The village slowly disappeared behind him. He didn't feel relief. He didn't feel joy, only uncertainty. Hours passed, then days. The journey was not easy. Dust entered his eyes. Cold nights made him shiver. Hunger followed him silently. Sometimes he would drink rainwater from the edges of the truck. Sometimes he would sleep sitting up, afraid of falling off. One night, something happened. The convoy slowed down, then stopped. Voices outside, shouting. Everybody calm down, someone yelled. Hafiz's heart tightened. He peeped carefully. Men on the road, not police, not drivers, armed robbers. His breath stopped. Passengers were being dragged down from other vehicles. Luggage scattered, people shouting, some pleading. Hafiz pressed himself closer into the sacks, trying not to breathe loudly. Then suddenly, a flashlight hit the back of his trailer. Check that one, a voice shouted. Footsteps approached. Closer, closer. Hafiz closed his eyes. This was it. The tarpaulin shifted. Light poured in. A hand grabbed a sack near him. Then another. Nothing here, one robber said. The light moved away. Hafiz didn't move, not even a finger. Minutes later, the convoy started moving again. Only then did he breathe, deeply, shaking, alive. But that night changed him. He realized something. The journey to Lagos was not just travel, it was survival on another level. Days later, the truck finally entered a massive place. Noise everywhere, cars everywhere, people everywhere. Hafiz stepped down slowly, his legs weak, his clothes dusty, his eyes tired. He looked around, confused, overwhelmed. This is Lagos, he whispered. But Lagos did not welcome him. It did not greet him. It did not care. It simply moved on. Hafiz stood alone in the crowd, a boy from a broken village, in a city that never stops for anyone. And for the first time, he truly felt it. Starting over is harder than surviving pain. But Hafiz was not ready to give up. Not yet, because somewhere inside him, a voice still whispered, You didn't come this far to stop here. Hafiz stood still for a long time. People passed him in every direction. Some were shouting into phones. Some were rushing into buses. Some didn't even notice he existed. This was different from the village. In the village, at least people knew your name, even if they judged you. But here, nobody cared. Hafiz adjusted the small bag on his shoulder and took a slow step forward, then another. He didn't know where he was going. He just walked. By evening, hunger hit him hard. He hadn't eaten properly in days. His stomach felt empty, folded in on itself. He stopped near a small roadside food stand. The smell of rice filled the air. His mouth watered. A woman was serving food quickly. "Rice, beans, eba," she called out. Hafiz stepped forward slowly. "Please," he said quietly, "how much is the food?" The woman looked at him briefly. 500, she replied. Hafiz checked his pocket. Empty, almost empty. He looked up again. "Please, I don't have money. I just arrived today." The woman frowned slightly. "Go and find work first. I can't give food for free." Hafiz nodded slowly. "I understand." He stepped back and walked away. That night, he slept behind a closed shop on bare ground with no blanket, no pillow, just his body and the cold pavement. Cars passed nearby. Lights flashed. People laughed somewhere far away. But Hafiz lay still, staring at the sky. "I survived everything," he whispered. "But why does life still feel like war?" The next morning, he started searching for work. He walked from street to street, shop to shop, site to site. "Do you need help?" he would ask. Most times, they didn't even look at him. "No job. Go away. We already have workers." By afternoon, his feet were aching, but he kept going. Finally, he reached a construction site. Men were carrying cement, sweating heavily, shouting orders.
Hafiz walked in. "I can walk," he said. A man looked at him from head to toe. "You?" "Yes." "Have you done this before?" "No, but I can learn fast." The man laughed slightly. "Everybody says that." Then, after a pause, "Carry one bag, let me see." Hafiz nodded. He lifted a bag of cement. Heavy, very heavy. His arms shook. His body struggled, but he didn't drop it. He carried it to where they pointed. The supervisor watched silently, then nodded. "Okay, stay." For the first time in Lagos, Hafiz had work. It wasn't easy, far from it. Every day he woke before sunrise, carried cement, sweated under the sun, went home exhausted. If you could call home the corner behind a building where he slept, but at least he was earning something, small money, just enough to survive. One evening, another worker sat beside him during rest. "You are new here?" the man asked. Hafiz nodded. "Yes." "Where are you from?" "North." The man laughed lightly. "Ah, you people come here to suffer." Hafiz didn't respond. He just stared ahead. After a moment, the man continued. "But if you survive Lagos, you can survive anything." Those words stayed with Hafiz. Weeks passed, then months, but Lagos never became easy. One day, Hafiz's payment was delayed. Another day, he was insulted by a supervisor. Another day, he fell while carrying cement and injured his shoulder. But he kept going because stopping meant returning to nothing. One night, while sitting alone,
He watched a group of young men nearby using laptops, typing, walking, smiling. Hafiz stared at them, confused. "What are they doing?" he asked one of the workers. "Those ones?" the man replied. "They are into online work, tech, internet business." "Internet business?" Hafiz repeated. "Yes, they don't carry cement like us. They use skills." That word stayed in his mind. Skills. That night, Hafiz couldn't sleep, not because of pain, but because of thought. Is there another way to live? For the first time in his life, he didn't just think about surviving. He thought about changing, but he didn't yet know how. And Lagos was about to push him towards something that would change everything.